Hello guys, Lalapolalaa here again. So today's video gonna be fairly simple video. I'm gonna share with you guys where usually how usually I create my WordPress website. So today the topic is gonna be uh, which domain and hosting platform, or basically a company that I really like dealing with them, their support, and also basically their services is very right and on point. So, but for today video, WordPress website suggestion or recommendation is for Malaysian people. But if you live somewhere else, not in Malaysia or somewhere else other than Malaysia, obviously, then this recommendation or suggestion would not be great for you because you do have your own uh, country or companies in your country that provide maybe much more less or much more very good server options for WordPress. So why don't we start it right away? So basically, I before this I frequently use exabyte. Yep. During my uh, first year of doing business, I mean creating a WordPress website. Uh, uh, that's how that's how before I create my own business around creating a WordPress website. I usually use exabytes. It's a Malaysia web hosting that provide basically anything about hosting a website. You can host you can host a WordPress website, of course, and you also can host your own uh, your own dedicated system. Meaning that if you subscribe to a VPS, virtual private server, they also gonna have something like that. And I can say that Exabyte is very a big company in Malaysia. Uh, they provide a lot of options and a lot of add-ons that you can basically apply to your hosting. So for the past, I can say 5 years, I think the beginning or 6 years at the beginning of my endeavor of becoming a self-employed. I frequently use Exabyte as my choice of where can I find domain and hosting. But along the way, I found some other company that provide a, a, a better offer, I can say. For if you can see it now, if let's say I type something just to see how much is it, the cost of the domain in this exabyte, somethingpo.com maybe you can check it, and of course it's gonna show you .net and any other extension also. So you can see if you go for .com for 1 year, you have to pay 62 62 ringgit 90 cents, which basically this 62 ringgit 90 cents already include ID protection, if I'm not mistaken, also uh, WHO is who's guide. Let's just compare and see. Yeah, it's already include ID protection. If you disable whose ID protection, and then let's just add it for now and just hit continue just to see. Yeah, 62 ringgit and 90 cent. It's already apply or add on of ID protection, so it costs 62 ringgit and 90 cent for 1 year of subscription. uh, in my early years of doing business, I thought this was something that around the price of or the right amount of price range for domain. But after I do some research on my own and see other platform other than Exabytes that basically provide the same services, domain hosting, that kind of thing. I found out that other websites also have their own price that they put on your and on their domain. So Exabytes, at first I thought it was very cheap, during 90 cent. But then uh I found other website like this one, Mesra Hosting. It's also a Malaysian company, and this Mesra uh, Hosting. Let's say we types uh, something. You can see that it for .com it just 50 ringgit, uh, much more cheaper than Exabyte. Exabyte 60 ringgit 90 cents, and we can see whether 50 ringgit is just the .com or is it already come with ID protection also. So why not we choose .com and try to register. Where can I go from here? Why can't I do anything? Hosting begins for a perfect domain name. Something, something like that. And then if I choose .com, why can't I buy this? Add web hosting. Yeah, where can I go from here? I thought they already changed their their UI UX. Before this is not look like this, but I don't know. But as you can see, it's 50 ringgit for .com. In Azerbaijan, they charge you for 60 ringgit 90 cent, and other places also they have their own price range that they offer to the customer. So after doing some research and all of that, I find that Exabyte uh, company or they provide a very extensive services, meaning that they have a lot of add-on, a lot of things that you can do it for your hosting and also your domain. But for if you're someone who do freelancers and just starting out to be a freelancers, then I don't think Exabyte is gonna be a good platform for you to stick around because the price is very huge. I mean, the domain itself costs 62 ringgit 90 cents, which which usually you can get it much more lower than this. Uh, if uh, if let me show you some other website that basically provide much more cheaper option. So if you go to namecheap.com and you go to domain and maybe something pro and then you hit enter, from here you can see that somethingpro.com is just $8.88 per year. If let's say I add to cart is and I view item, then I go to checkout. Yeah, it also provide who's got over here. So basically, you only pay for $9.06. If you convert it, the USD to MYR, $9.06, it's only 38.65 ringgit Malaysia, which much lower than if you go for Mercer hosting, or maybe you go for Exabyte, which is still 2 ringgit 90 cent. But if you are looking to buy only domain, but uh, let's be honest here, if you want to create a website, you have to basically subscribe to two things, right? You have to subscribe to domain name, and also you have to subscribe to hosting. uh, let's just see what hosting they provide. For right now, if you want to host your own WordPress website, or maybe you do it for your client, and of course, if you go to first, let's just see what Exabyte have for us. So if you go for WordPress hosting, usually WordPress hosting, specific for WordPress hosting, you have to pay for like monthly subscription, 60 ringgit, which I would not recommend this type of package for you guys if you're just starting out to be a self-employed, or build your business around making a WordPress website for a client or your customer. If you calculate, if let's say I go to calculator, 60 ringgit per month, which if you go for WP blog, one WordPress website, and 10 SSD, backup restore to email account. To email account is that if you have like dot, if you have like at yourname.com, then you're only gonna have two email account. Maybe you put it in front, inquiry at yourname.com, and also maybe another uh, that your name at yourname.com. You only just have two email account. So if 16 ringgit Malaysia times with 12, oops, my bad. So 16 times with 12, so you have to pay 192 yearly. This I think is also, why don't we just go through this first? Register a new domain. If let's say we don't have domain yet, right? So maybe I want to register a new domain like this, and I hit search. It's a new domain. Okay. And I hit continue. For 12 month, of course. So you can see over here that for just uh one domain, 62 ringgit, and also renewal, WP renewal 12 month for 288 ringgit for 1 year, right? So the total is 368. It's very, very, I can say very expensive for a startup business, or even if you want to find someone to build a website. They say you charge him for it. Maybe he just want to build a portfolio website, or maybe just a company website, that maybe you charge him for, I don't know, 2,000 ringgit Malaysia, and then you have to pay for 368 to maintain their WordPress website. So let me show you other platform. If you go to, maybe you go to Mesro Hosting, right? uh, if you subscribe to web hosting, my opinion is that instead of you go straight for WordPress hosting, specifically hosting for that serve WordPress hosting, I will not recommend that kind of hosting. Instead, what you should look at is go to uh, hosting and select small business like shared hosting. Under, it should be under shared hosting. So select any under shared hosting. Maybe for Exabyte, they provide this small business shared hosting, web hosting basically. So this one, we have a biz Lite Plus and also a biz Gold, and this subscription you can change it for monthly and also for yearly. But if you can calculate 50 ringgit monthly, easily 50 ringgit for 1 year is gonna reach almost 300 ringgit, or more than 300 ringgit, right? But if you go to other hosting, like I said before, Exabyte provide a lot more extension, a lot more add-ons. That's why, and maybe a good services also. That's why their price range is much more higher in the level of higher price range. If you go to Monster Hosting, which is basically decent website for you to start on if you build a WordPress website for your customers. I mean, like you're just starting to create your own business, right? And the customers are just want a portfolio or maybe a company website which you can uh what can I say? Uh you can guess how many people that will basically go into their website, maybe around monthly or daily, maybe around, I don't know, it depends on the company. If this company is just a startup company or just a new company that want a website presence, so maybe you can expect they gonna have guests around 1000 per month. Or if they are a big company, then you can expect they're gonna have 100,000 per month view. That's just my opinion. So if you're just starting out to do your own business, I would suggest go for Mesra hosting. If you go to for Mesra hosting and then you go for web hosting and choose Linux hosting as opposed to Windows hosting, I just use Linux hosting. It's much more simpler. As you can see here, the hosting year payment, the yearly payment is just RM 100 ringgit. It's much lower than if you go for as a buy 50 ringgit per month. I say if you 50 ringgit per month times with 12, easily you're gonna reach under 80 ringgit. Yep, per month. Let's say we go for order now, and of course you have to register domain, something.com, search, wait for it to display, and just hit continue. Order summary, and we want for 1 year. So the total gonna be 279 ringgit for Abyss Light. And but before you go for Abyss Light, or you need to see the spec of the shared hosting itself. If you can see it here, view specification, you can compare. The disk space is 10 GB, monthly data transfer is 20 GB, email account 10, subdomain 10. The only thing that you need to focus on is the disk space, monthly data, email account, and physical memory if they have CPU, like, or all of that. So right now is the RAM is 1 GB that they allow on your share hosting. But if you go for master hosting, this is for beginner. If you're looking for beginner, then you can see the RM 100 ringgit. They give you 30 GB for the disk space. Bandwidth is the 50 GB, which is much more than exabyte, much more than this. But this one already, the price range already reach more than 200 ringgit. But this one is just 100 ringgit, and you can basically get this 100 ringgit plus .com for your 150 ringgit, and you already able to build a WordPress website out of it. But the difference is that your max CPU consumption and also your max memory consumption, these two you have to look at Right now, max memory consumption is 64 MB, is much lower than what have been what Exabyte offer. In Exabyte offer up to 1 GB, right? But this one is just 64 MB, which is it's not. I can say this is very much slower website, but if the people that come into the WordPress website just to see your company profile or your portfolio, and you can expect, like I said before, you can expect how much people that going to go in their URL, then you can start off with something like this. This is for my recommendation for someone who just starting out to build a WordPress website. You can build something that decent for around 100 ringgit plus 50 ringgit for the domain name. Or if you buy or subscribe to domain name in Namecheap, then you only spend about 140 ringgit for the domain name. That's why you have to look at it. You have to look at the space monthly and also RAM, all that kind of thing. And that's previously I used Exabytes and then I changed to Mercer hosting, but I found out that Mercer hosting CPU and also memory consumption is much more. I can say that it's really on the lower side of the consumption. So basically, if you want to build something very decent, this is not. I can say that this is not decent. This is okay in the level of okay. But if you want to build something decent, you have to go for maybe 1 GB or up to 4 GB or 3 GB for a WordPress website. Because if you want to build a WordPress website, let's say WordPress website, this usage, this space, what is the recommended space for WordPress website? So 4 GB or 10 GB, this space allocation, blah 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 blah. You can see that. But in my experience, I built a WordPress website. WordPress website for just company profile and also portfolio. It's not going to go more than, I can say that it's not going to go more than 200 megabytes, or just 20% of 1 GB, right? 20% of 1 GB is like 200 MB, or it's not going to go over that in my experience. So going for a higher disk space is good basically, but you don't have to go higher than, if you go like 5 GB is already okay, but the safe space would be around 20 GB or 30 GB. So in my experience, uh, when I first uh, in the when I first learned to be a self-employed and learn about how the payment around domain and hosting, I use Exabyte. At that time I don't know which one is the best, so I end up choose the best of out of the best, so I choose Exabyte, and I spend like more than what I need, than I actually need to spend to build a very decent WordPress website. So the first project that I spent is around, for domain and hosting, just for domain hosting is around 300 plus, almost 400 ringgit. But after that, I found out about Mercer hosting, and then I already use domain and hosting for Mercer hosting. It's quite okay, but if you have a lot of gas coming in and out from your system, then it's gonna basically lag. And basically, if you use a lot of plugin, also then it's gonna lag also. Maybe because of the CPU and memory, because they provide a very low CPU and memory consumption. So uh, the next thing that I found out just recently is using uh, short host. This one is from Kedah, Malaysia also, and they provide decent uh, hosting, I can say. And if you want to know, some package that all these platform provide. If you don't focus on trying to find which domain, which platform that provide the cheapest subscription of domain first, you need to find which the good and decent cheapest hosting first, rather than go for domain, because some of the package they provide to you guys is already comes with free of domain inside of package. They say in short host, if you go down in their package one, they only provide 1 GB, bandwidth 20 GB, and also you can see for yourself that memory is 256 MB, which much more bigger than the just 64 MB, right? That's why I say this is just an okay choice of hosting. But if you go to shorthost.com, 256 MB, and this one is already 1 GB, and then this 2 GB. And in my opinion, you would go for something like this: 20 GB, 200 GB bandwidth is much more better. If you compare this package 4 with warehousing Abyss Lite, monthly data transfer is around 20 GB. Like, and it also physical memory is just 1 GB, 1 GB, and also 2 GB. But if you compare it side by side, you can see it side by side. Over here, show warehousing. You can see that bandwidth 300 GB. This one is only 20 GB. This one is 20 GB and 20 GB. We compare the price range. This one is already reached 200 ringgit plus, right? This one maybe 300 ringgit plus, and this one maybe almost 400 ringgit plus. And this 1 GB, 1 GB for RAM, and the 2 GB. But shorthost.com already provide you guys with 4 GB. It's much more higher. And like I said before, instead of you finding platform that provide cheapest domain option, you should choose hosting first, because some of the hosting they also provide free domain with the extension of net, org, info.com.biz.name, and of course usually people will go for .com, right? So this 150 ringgit annually, it already comes with free domain. That's why I said look for hosting first before you look for domain. So if you find hosting that much more cheaper, but it doesn't come with domain, then at that time or by that time you can search for the cheapest, any platform that provide the cheapest domain. So right now for my almost all my client WordPress website portfolio, maybe it's a light e-commerce website, I just use this package for over here. It's much it's decent, I can say. Because for one WordPress website, if you have like maybe 10 or maybe more than 10 products, I can say 20 product or so, it's not going to go more than 1 GB in my experience. So uh, this should be more than enough, and you also have a very high speed RAM memory or your system, and of course it's gonna provide SSL. SSL just stand for HTTPS. It's a more secure route or URL that you can go for. So right now, I think the best platform for Malaysian who want to build their WordPress website, uh, that that uh, that doesn't doesn't matter if you are a businessman yourself or you just starting out to be a businessman or want to create your own business around making or building a WordPress website. You can go for shophost.com as your choice of hosting also domain. It's just 150 ringgit annually. And then if you charge your customer to maintain your system and also to build a system maybe at first, maybe you said that if you want me to build your system for portfolio or maybe e-commerce website, you're gonna have your own price range, right? A price range for your package, right? maybe you set it for e-commerce website, you charge them for 3,000 ringgit, but the actual system that you build for them is not going to use any. For my experience, I don't use a paid version of plugin. There's a lot of plugin out there, the free version that already provide a decent method for people to build a decent WordPress website, even for e-commerce website. So 150 ringgit minus with 3,000, let's say you live with 2,850 ringgit left for you, for yourself. If you don't use any paid plugin. In my experience, I only use paid plugin for payment gateway. So if you live in Malaysia, you do if people want to buy your product using what they call as online banking payment, like Maybank to use IMB Clear, all that kind of thing. You have to basically, you as a developer, or maybe your client want that payment gateway to be in their website, then the cost would be around 1 year, maybe 300 ringgit to 400 ringgit of 450 ringgit subscription. There's a lot of plugin out there that you can go for, but the one that I go for is Senang Pay. Like this Senang Pay, the costing for they provide basic, advanced, and also special. The basic one is 300 ringgit. The advanced is 450 ringgit. The one that I suggest you go for is just the basic one, 300 ringgit. And you can see it for yourself that the charges that they put is just only 2.5% out of this is their transaction fee, or basically their processing fee, to 2.5%. So if let's say uh, y- let me bring out the calculator. Let's say you have a product that costs you a product that amount of 10 ringgit, and then uh, if you want to see how much does this Senang Pay take out from your product, is just 10 ringgit times with 2.5 divided by 100 minus just 25 cents out of 10 ringgit. So the net that you will get should be 9 ringgit and 75 cents. So if the cost of a product is 10 ringgit, then you should add 25 cents. So 10 ringgit 25 cents, just because the 25 cents you need to cover for the processing fee when you add uh this Senang Pay payment gateway. So Senang Pay provide credit and debit card also for 2.5%. If you use credit and debit card, like straight away, you put down your card number, your CSV number, and also your your what they call it as your lifetime of the card the card uh, uh, expiry card date, right? This one is 2.5%. But if people use FPX, like online banking, transfer by Maybank to use IMB Clear, all that kind of stuff, the charges will be only 1.5%. It's much more lower. So 15 cents instead of 25 cents. Uh, this this you have to subscribe if you want to apply this to your WordPress website. This one you have to subscribe for. Like I said before, the basic one is 300 ringgit, and the advanced one is 450 ringgit. This is a paid plugin if you want to apply to your WordPress website. This one, 300 ringgit for 450 ringgit. You should go for 300 ringgit if you want. In my experience, 300 ringgit is much more than enough. But if you want to use uh, a a much more, I mean, a free plugin instead of a paid one, but a free plugin, you don't have the option of using FPX. I mean, using IMB Click, Magento. You don't have the option of that, but you do have the option of people buying your stuff or your product through credit or debit card only. So if you use NumPay, you have to pay a subscription of 300 ringgit yearly, and on top of that, uh, each of your each of the customer payment, or basically when they pay the product from your page, they're going to be charged 2.5%, like you see before. But if you use uh, Stripe, Stripe Malaysia, if I go for Stripe Malaysia pricing and fees, if you go for Stripe and you apply Stripe, Stripe is free plugin. You can apply it in your WordPress. You go to your plugin and install new plugin, add new plugin, just type Stripe and then activate that plugin. Then you have the option of apply this payment gateway, the credit and debit card to Stripe. But if you compare Stripe and SenangPay uh, only charge you 2.5%. 2.5% for credit and debit card. But for Stripe, it charges you for 3% plus 1 ringgit. Meaning that if SenangPay only charge you 25%, for Stripe, this is going to be 30 cents. Actually, this is going to be like this, 1 ringgit and 30 cents. So your product, the price of your product, if you set in your WordPress the price of your product, if you only use plugin a Stripe plugin, then you need to inform customer that for the processing fee or processing charge is gonna the product price gonna up by 1 ringgit and 30 cents instead of just 10 ringgit, since you have to uh, pay this you have there is a processing fee 3% plus 1 ringgit. This if you using Stripe, but uh, you don't have to pay for yearly subscription of 300 ringgit if you use this plugin. So you can calculate yourself if you just starting out to create a business. It doesn't matter if you're just starting out to create a business that sell product or anything. In my opinion, it would be great, and it would be the best option for you is just right away. If you know yourself that this recommendation, this suggestion that I will give to you right now is for the people that have their own product and they want to sell their product through WordPress, and uh, if they want to know which is the right way for them to do it, using just a free plugin Stripe or use Senang Pay, but you have to pay yearly subscription. In my opinion, if you have your own product that you want to sell your product, going for the free version of Stripe, 3%, 1 ringgit, I don't think it's a good option for you guys. If you know yourself, because this is going to take for each and every transaction, right? If one customer buy something, from that total amount is going to be the transaction charge. This 3% plus 1 ringgit is going to be applied to the amount, right? So, but so every time people buying your stuff, these charges you have to apply to them. Meaning that if you have a product of 10 ringgit, you have to add 11 ringgit and 30 cents just to cover your Stripe processing fees. But if you use Senang Pay, let's say if you have 10 customer that buy 10 product, then all 10 customer going to pay this processing fee. Uh, but if you use Senang Pay, they only have to pay for 2.5% instead of 3% plus 1 ringgit, much more lower. The processing fee is much more lower. It depends on you. Yeah, I know that you have to pay the subscription fees yearly 300 ringgit, but if you calculate, if you, in a month you can sell maybe 1,000 product, right? Because the 300 ringgit yearly subscription is a fixed number. So instead of you instead of charging customer 11 ringgit and 30 cents for every product, uh, because you want to cover the processing fee of the Stripe for 100. So the customer would see like, if a customer go for a system or any other platform that maybe sell the same product as yours, if they see 11 ringgit 30 cents as opposed to 10 ringgit 35 cents, they will go for 10 ringgit 35 cents, right? Then I would suggest you go for Senam Pay instead of Stripe. If you calculate, if you know that your product going to be sell a lot more than just one product, two product, or maybe in a month you can go for 1,000 or a lot of quantity of product that you able to sell, then I would suggest you go for Senam Pay instead of just using a free version Stripe. That's my opinion on which a part of the which payment gateway that you should go for, the paid one or the free version. But if you build a system for a client and that client asks you for suggestion, then you can explain this to them whether they should use Senang Pay or they should use a free version of Stripe. But if it don't, if they say like it doesn't matter, then I think uh, the the one way that you should go for is using Stripe, uh, the free version Stripe, 3% rate plus 1 ringgit. But if you use Senang Pay, even if you build something for other people, let's say your client, you can be a merchant in this Senang Pay. Basically, you as a developer gonna get like a commission because you uh, basically help other platform to but you basically help this Senang Pay or this company to build their audience through your client, right? So basically you're gonna get a commission out of that too. But that's why I recommend you guys use Senang Pay as a developer, like myself. So anyhow, I think uh, that's all for today. I only want to basically share with you guys which web a platform that I used to go for, like as a buy, and I move on to Mercer Hosting, and right now I go for shorthost.com because they provide a lot more. Uh, they provide a lot more, like a decent, more than decent uh, uh, benefit out of the other two, or out of the other platform that I already have experience with. And also as an add-ons, I also share with you guys one which payment gateway that you should go for if you want to try Senang Pay, and also if you want to try the free version, just use Stripe. Senang Pay, you have, if you as a developer, or you can basically look for yourself. You can learn this yourself. If you want me to basically, if you want me to basically tell you about this, then I say then just leave a comment down below, and maybe I will do a video on it. So anyway, thanks guy, thanks for listening. Like always, until next time, or I should say, from this time and on, until next week. Ciao, salam.